Welcome to the quietest ones in the room. Let's give them something to study. What's going on, Mel?
How you doing? Great, sir.
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, man. I can't complain. We
Hmm.
wrapping this year up. We wrapping this year up. We got just a few more days until 2025.
Insane. That's so
It
crazy.
is, right? When you think of it, it's crazy, right? Yeah, a lot has happened this year, man. So much has happened this year. Uh, some really good things. Some bad. There's been some good and some bad, right?
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Shout out to Cat Williams, yo. I think Cat Williams set the tone for this whole year, yo.
Cat,
Like real talk,
yeah,
like
he
Shannon
broke the
Sharp,
internet.
Cat Williams set the tone for this whole year. It was quite fascinating, quite amazing. From I mean, I'm talking me personally, just talking about like the Super Bowl. Then you go
Hmm.
into like the NBA.
Hmm.
Then you go in, not just even NBA, but you go like the Drake and Kendrick, that whole debacle. Then it brings up other things. You still got the war.
The election.
We didn't even bring up the whole Gaza and Israel situation, which is so complex and sad and horrific on
Yeah.
all types of sides. Like it's this year, and it's not even 2025, which I feel like 2025, it just sounds like it sounds iconic.
Right.
So
It
like
does.
so
Yeah.
2024 is already like this, and it's like almost setting the stage for what 2025 is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, and then you got President Trump coming into 2025 as the president.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Good point. Yeah, all the things you mentioned. I mean, it's been wild, and 2025 definitely sounds iconic.
Hmm.
Um, and with all this stuff that has happened this year, snowballing into next, I can't even imagine.
I don't even
Um,
want to,
but
but we have
I'm
to.
but there's a lot of positive, right? Because I'm looking forward to what we're going to do with this,
Hmm.
and I think we got some great things that we're going to be able to accomplish next year,
Hmm.
and continue to grow the. I call it the family. Those who listen
Yeah.
to us. We'll keep growing the family and sharing our thoughts. Um, so look, I know I'm not sure if you did, but I went down to Charleston and spent some time with my family.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you had an opportunity to go, home or whatever, but
Yep.
good, good. So something that I think all of us experience, especially as we start to get older, like you go home and you just realize how different your life is that you built.
Yes.
And then you go home and you're like, oh my God, this is where I'm from, right?
Yeah.
And it's nostalgic, it's heartwarming.
There's
Sometimes it
shock.
pisses you, it's shock. Sometimes it's upsetting because you have conversations with certain people and you can tell there's a line drawn in the sand as to where you are mentally and
Hmm.
where they are. You kind of leave some things behind at the same time taking that with you, some of it with you, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring this up because I don't know if you experience this when you go home, which is, I go home and it's me, I'm almost in my 40s, and you go home and it's the elders. And it's the elders and sometimes friends of the family, they come around and they're having conversations. And those conversations sound like somebody's about to fight, and then it's all loving again, and then it sounds like somebody's about to fight. It's like a roller coaster
Hmm.
when I'm listening to these people communicate. And when I was younger, I used to interject into these conversations and I would get attacked. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand why I was getting attacked. So this is what I learned, and this is what I want to get into with you about, which is what I learned is older folks really don't want you to say anything. When you're young, they want you to shut up, be around, and be happy. And if they ask you a question, answer it. But other than that, they don't want you talking. They don't want you talking about what you learned in college and what you think about politics and what you think about um, psychology and what you think about economics, because in their mind, they have it all figured out. They've been talking about
Mm-hmm.
this stuff for 60, 70 years.
Even though they
So it's
really
like, what,
haven't, that's another discussion.
right. But it's like, they're thinking to themselves, like, what do you know? But I'm curious, like, do you experience a bit of that when you go home?
One, there's so many nuances to what you just brought up. Like, for instance, you can bring up the nuances of just like, let's think about the boomers, think about,
Mm-hmm.
the different generation. I think starting with the millennials, we brought a different mindset to parenting.
Mm-hmm.
We gave, I feel though, millennials and those below, we want our children to have opinions. We want them to feel included. We want to give them, and I feel like every generation wants to empower the children more from a more intellectual standpoint. That's one. Two, to answer your question directly, I found myself trying to shield my son from other influences
Okay.
because in our world, especially if you have a family out, like away from your family, meaning out of state or miles and miles away out of that environment, because obviously judging by your demographic and your environment is how you'll usually lean to raise your children, or at least at least where you live at will help set parameters to how you'll raise your children, whether it be violence, whether it be traveling, whether it be education, whatever it may be, wherever you live is going to set the parameters. So that's one. So I'm not even downing people who live differently, but if
Yeah.
I'm trying to build a household for, and what me and my wife are trying to shape, and then when you go to your home, a place that your children identify as where you come from,
Right.
they want to they want to self-identify with where you come from. So they
Mm-hmm.
may even say like, oh, what they're doing is acceptable because from where dad's from, not
Mm-hmm.
knowing that just because they're doing don't make it acceptable. So I
Yeah.
found myself constantly saying like, oh, your cousin can do that, but you can't.
Got you.
The entire, like, so many times, like he'll scream. His cousin would come and just do certain things that were, but who in our household would be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? I had to
Mm-hmm.
explain to my son, no, we don't do that. So I found myself constantly shielding, constantly having to make excuses, constantly trying to make sense of certain things. But overall, you do want your child to be exposed to different cultures and different things so they'll understand that just because something's different is fine. And just because something's different doesn't mean you have to immediately assimilate to your surroundings, while also
Right.
understanding that this isn't your surroundings. So you can't be judging people how they move, but you can control how you move. So that was my experience going home, constantly trying to shield my son and constantly using these moments for education and helping him learn, helping him to grow. So it was fun, cool,
Yeah.
tiring. I don't know how. Like, shout out to the people that got got like 10 kids or like
Yeah.
five,
It's a
five to
ton.
10. That's amazing. Like, God bless
Yeah.
you. That's wild.
I, I get what you're saying. So yeah, that dynamic of when you're taking your family, your kids and kid or kids included, and you're
Mm-hmm.
going back and things are being done a different way than you doing where you are.
Mm-hmm.
You have to navigate that. It's like I remember when, in particular, Harper was younger, and we didn't let her. Still don't. She doesn't drink soda. So you go home where you're from, and all the cousins are drinking soda, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Can I have one?" And it's like, "No, we don't do that." And then all the aunts, uncles, cousins, let the kid have
No,
one.
go.
Hey,
Oh,
yeah,
I got a story. Oh, I got a story.
yeah. Go ahead, go
And
ahead.
and we had to succumb to it, to the peer pressure.
Yeah, yes,
We succumbed
because
to.
yeah, yes, we do.
So so we actually went to a funeral and there was cake being served. My son's never had cake with the frosting. Like he's always had vegan cakes, quote
Yeah.
quote unquote vegan cakes, made differently. I don't know how they're made, but they're not made like regular cakes. My son never had a real cake, real sugar, ever. They all, like all his aunties, my aunts, his great aunts are like, no, give him a piece of cake. It's not going to hurt. That boy need to eat something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He got to experience it. Blah 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 blah. So we're like, all right, whatever. Just eat some cake. You gave him like a couple bites and said, that's it. Man, my son was off the wall, just running around, talking. I mean, it was wild. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, I can't believe we really succumbed. I wasn't like mad at anybody. I was more disappointed in myself
Yeah.
that I
They
succumbed to that peer pressure.
they remind you who you are, and while you're a parent, they're like, oh, I raised you. We took care of you. We taught you everything. It's
And
not a
you
big
came out
deal.
fine.
You
That's the
came out fine.
quote of the century. That's all they say, at least once per week.
Yeah. It's like I kept you alive. That's the famous statement.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, because yeah, everybody's gonna have a different dynamic when they go home. But what I in particular walked away with this year was, now that I'm more mature and I've
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of that, the 20s out of my way, the early 30s, and I just listened to all the older folks. I really didn't jump in, like I would have when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated my perspective and my approach because it kept me out of drama within the family. Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever they were talking about, whether, like I said, whether it's politics or economics or just silly, what I consider, silly conversations, no matter how old you are, they were having a blast talking, drinking, you know what I'm saying? Just having a good
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
And I was just appreciating the opportunity to be in that space with them.
Mm-hmm.
And at times, man, with some of them, like especially the guys, it would get heated between them. I was like, and I remember back, especially when I was younger, I was always thinking, oh, it's about to be a fight. But no, nobody's gonna fight. Now I can go there, right?
Oh yeah.
But they do a really good job of being a judge, jury, and an executioner at times. They know how to balance that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a wonderful time going home, and yeah, man, I'm starting to see. Obviously everybody's getting older. We're all getting older, obviously. And,
Yeah, that part.
you know,
That part is they don't really. And again, I think it's funny for. I mean, I'm sure every generation went through this process, went through this point in their lives where it's like, oh, we are now the elders. We are the ones that are like the leaders and
hmm
the ones that really set the tone for the family now.
yeah,
And that is cool. Up for and everything like that, but it just surprises me how fast it kind of like popped up and how it just
yeah,
happened.
yeah. And the thing that nobody talks about though, Mel, is that everyone doesn't get the opportunity to be that person. You earn that. You earn that
Yeah,
spot.
yeah,
The
definitely.
elders have to decide. Okay, you're a man now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And it's crazy because that's wild. You said that, Tracy. It's amazing. Like I said, we never talked before. We just kind of jump on and do this. But all my aunts individually came up and told me like how proud they were of me, of the man I
saying?
become, had the good
Yeah.
father I am. And like they like one of my aunts wrote this like really long text message and sent it to me after I left. And that was my moment, to your point, and you
Yeah.
brought up to when like they have to stamp the
Oh,
approval.
they have to.
Like,
Yeah.
oh,
You
you're a
can't.
man now. Oh,
Yeah.
you're a good father now. Oh, and honestly, when they stamp it, it's a very proud. Like I honestly, I don't. You know me. I don't. I'm very pessimistic. I don't get proud about a lot of stuff. It's like life is life. You got to move. You got to move. But that was a moment like this past Christmas where it's like, oh wow, that's cool. They recognize me as a man. They're proud of me. They like really listen to my opinion. That's the crazy part. Like they really listen to what you're saying and they hang on to your word and they actually heed your words. That's like really cool
Right.
and really weird all at
Right.
the time.
Right. And I think that's the part of the reason why when I went home this time, it was like I knew it's like you said, it's like the passing of the baton, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like now you have to display the things you might wish for them to display, even when they're not displaying it. Because
Yes.
now the kids, your nephews, your cousins, they're looking at you. They're not so much looking at them. I mean, they are, right? But it's like, but now you're in that position that they were in. And honestly, a lot of them at this point, man, they trying to relax on up out of here.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They not trying. It ain't no. They not really trying to have drama. They really not
Oh,
trying to. You know what I'm saying? They're
no,
not really
it's
trying to win
they're
no battle.
relieved. They're relieved.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the
yeah.
relief in their face. Like it wasn't like they told me like for me to feel pride. It was more like, oh, we don't have to worry about you anymore.
Yes, yeah.
And that's cool because I can tell, like, and I know my aunts, they always worried about me. They always ask about me, they always, oh, but but that was the first, this was the first time they looked at me. So, oh, Melvin's fine. And now they're
That's
looking for me for advice and aid and things of that nature. And that's like so cool to get that stamp of approval. And like you said earlier, you have to get that stamp. You can't just stamp yourself. It's
oh no,
kind of awkward when you stamp yourself.
yeah. Like you can't go around proclaiming it. The family has to do it, and to me, that's truly when that's my definition of when you become a man.
Mm-hmm.
When the family approves it.
Yeah.
Because other than that, like it's not really like you fooling yourself. But and that goes for women too. I think women get that too, just as much as we get it as men. But the family, the elders have to approve that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I said, I was just thinking about that. Um, when I went home, good time. I had a really good time. I just stayed for like 2 days, and I actually came back this way Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
Easy trip, not a lot of traffic, both directions, not a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. Actually, me and Harper just went because Hendrik and Harley have hand, foot, and mouth virus.
Mm-hmm.
So couldn't take them because my aunt, there's a 2-year-old with her, and they could have passed it off to her. So that wouldn't have been a good look.
Yeah.
So me and Harper just went and yeah, Marissa had to stay here with the kids. And it was a good time, man. It really was. It really was.
No, no, no.
Um,
I know all about that. My 2-year-old stay sick. It's horrible. They just stay sick.
yeah, kids. Yeah, man. It's like, especially when you put them in daycare, it's like all the germs floating around there.
I can't remember when he was well. And I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes, it's yeah.
yeah. And it's that time of the year too, and there's so much going on, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was important for me to bring up. And like I said, I know a lot of people are gonna go through that, and I'm always curious, like the dynamic, people experience when they go home and see their family.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think, man, it's just important to have family and engage and support each other because I mean the world is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times like people want to I guess be on an island, but that's just not good.
No.
It's not good. It's not good mentally, and I get so much value every time I go home. I get that energy, and then I get to drive the kids down the street of where I grew up, and they get to see the difference between how I was raised in that aspect and that environment versus where we are now. And it's just light years apart, man. You
Light
know,
years.
yeah, light years apart when you see that. And the kids, they start to get it, you know. Max, he's still young, but as he gets older, like you'll be able to take him to the neighborhood, the street you used to walk down, the school you went to, and you'll be able to talk to him about those things. And,
Mm-hmm.
he'll really appreciate it as he gets older. Because we had our challenges growing up, man. We had just like anybody else, we have our challenges growing up.
Yeah,
And then
man.
when you have kids, you want to shield them from that, you know?
Grew up in the 90s, man.
Yeah,
It's funny
yeah.
when you when you say that, and now go back to the 90s, right?
Hmm.
And you remember people used to be talking about like, oh yeah, back in the 60s.
Yeah,
That's like the equivalent when we talk about the 90s now.
yeah. This is light years ago.
So it's like so the way we lived was just totally different, man. God, it was like so different. Now I know I don't want to sound, and it's crazy that we're at the age now where we sound old, but it really was just a different world than what they live in now, as far as like political correctness, as far as even technology, as far as like how information traveled and how fast you got information, which also affected how you relate information. Um, but now it's funny, like now when you relay information, you don't know if it's true or not because of the way if it's been altered or not. Back then, it's more like a big game of telephone. You know, you just kind
Right.
of hear something, then you kind of expound upon it, or you might hear something off the radio back in the day, and you expound upon it. I remember when 9/11 first happened, there was so many like wild stories that came out about what happened and like how many people really like it was so many stories. I remember hearing all these crazy stories live time because this information just didn't travel fast enough for people. And because the information ain't travel fast enough for people, people will just like make up information. It's like really fascinating. Like if we're not able to, as human beings, we're not able to like relieve our mental stress like when we need to, whether that be to get information, whether that is to feel like relief for pain or whatever, we
Yeah,
will immediately go into like self-induced psychosis.
yeah. Or crash out,
Just
you know,
crash out.
into a crash
And,
out
and
dumb.
and judging by your own personal discipline level of discipline aptitude is how quickly you'll crash out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it be those, it's the emotions sometimes, you know, people don't know how to, those emotions, man, get wild,
Mm-hmm.
you know. People just want to crash out because that's all they know when they start feeling away. And they don't know how to deal with those emotions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Can't hear you, Trey.
I think that was about middle school.
Oh,
And like,
I missed you. You just came back in. The last thing I heard was middle school.
yeah, when I remember in the 90s when the Hot Boys came out,
Mm. I'm gonna tell you where I was, but keep going.
and I saw everybody in my neighborhood change immediately.
I did too, but go ahead. Yeah.
From the way that they talk down to the way they dress. Everybody tall tees, Jabot jeans, you know, Air Force Ones. It happened so fast, man. And
So,
that influence of like hip hop at that time, I remember like how violent it started getting at some point. Because that's all the music, you know, the music was talking. Everybody's trying to get it. Everybody was trying to sell drugs. Because we are still, you know, still coming up the crack era.
yeah.
And I remember it was chaotic, man.
And that's why I'm very, and I know it's gonna sound weird, especially because of the climate we live in. I'm very grateful for Kanye West. I'm very
Yeah, what
grateful
he did,
for.
right?
I'm
Yeah,
very grateful for the
changed
Lupe fiascos. I'm very grateful for that because I think around 05, 06. Because even with Lil Wayne, even though Lil Wayne was also very gangster, he kind of used the imagery of gangster rap. He used that imagery not so much as so violent, but used the violence to express feelings. If that makes any sense. Of course, I'm like a real big Lil Wayne fan, but I'm looking at Drake, Kanye, J. Cole, like
yeah,
Kid Cudi. Even like I'm talking about when that maybe not J. Cole. Well, yeah, J. Cole's Big Show, like that 06 to to now, kind of that '06, '07 era of hip hop really the backpackers, they called them,
Yeah.
who try to really bring a positive, different outlook for black people. They definitely made black people not just a singular um monolith, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not just hood, we're not just this, we're also nerds, we're also intellectual, we're also Wall Street bangers. We love. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that era of hip hop ushered in a lot of great thinkers. There's a different aspect of it. But to your biggest point, hip hop before that, and how even hip hop went, especially the '90s hip hop, straight just gangster, straight just
Yeah. No limit was like it was No Limit was a part of it, right?
yeah, No Limit was a part of it.
Where everybody wanted to be like that, you know. 3 6 Mafia,
Yeah,
uh, the Goody Mob, which they were a little bit more. They were like in between Conscious and Little Street or whatever.
I would
But
put them in the backpacker position.
yeah, they kind of started to move in that because that's about the time when Outkast
God
started
bless them,
showing,
man.
yeah, showing some talent. But yeah, man, I just remember those times. But I like what you said because I remember when Kanye came out.
Yes.
It was an immediate shift. For me, it was the first time. No, I take that back. Nas was the first person I ever felt heard me.
Yeah.
Like I felt like he was speaking as if I was writing it in an environment that I was in and seeing it. And
Yeah.
he was talking about what he was seeing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Nas, but then by the time Kanye came, yeah, he was truly the more, I guess, educated rapper,
See, that's funny though, because
targeting.
I actually felt Kanye more than any rapper prior,
Yeah,
because he was talking like college dropout, and I think when he came out, I was a freshman in college,
yeah,
so he was just talking about like his perspective, like when all falls down, like even that song was like, oh, it's not
yeah,
all about hood stuff, like it's
right.
actually just regular life situations, and he brought like regular life. I like to say he brought square rap,
Yeah,
like rap for squares. Like I think he was like the first rapper for me that was like a square. I can't think. I mean, besides Will Smith, but he was too square. In fact,
yeah,
I think Will Smith I take it back. Will Smith was actually nothing like us, and I say that respectfully because he wasn't real. Like a rapper, like a person that doesn't curse, a person that's kind of like always positive. Like Will Smith
yeah,
wasn't real, which is why I feel like white America really gravitated towards him.
yeah.
He just wasn't. He just didn't seem authentic. Where I feel as though Kanye, while he wasn't the hood, was just still authentic. Yeah,
But interesting you said, and I do want to get back to Kanye, but
yeah.
With Will Smith, I didn't know that he could have gone to MIT,
He
right?
is wild.
So intellectually, he was in a different space.
Different stratosphere.
Yeah. So, but with Kanye, man, I remember skipping class when um
What's the good morning?
graduation graduation.
Graduation. I remember you skipping class to go get
I
it.
was like, oh, I'm going.
I
See, that's when you
remember.
yeah, that's when you're buying. And I remember putting it in the CD player in the car, and I
Yep.
heard that boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Good. The
And
good
I was
morning
like,
song, right?
oh my good, yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, this was worth skipping class for right here.
Yeah.
And
I'm talking about
yeah,
lines. That was back in the day. That's not. We lived a different time, Tracy. I mean,
yeah,
lines. There was lines for this album.
yeah,
That was the and that was also when he was going against 50 Cent
yeah.
for the massacre. But I remember it's probably the last in history. Maybe the Carter 3, where I remember lines.
Man, the Carter Three was crazy. But see, what you're touching, you bringing up people that so 50 Cent was street hustler, right?
Straight gutter.
Lil Wayne, there was the battle between Kanye and Lil Wayne where it was like, if you wanted to act street, you wanted to try to play Kanye as trash and side with Lil Wayne, right?
Mhm.
But it was like, yeah, we knew Lil Wayne was a better rapper, but musician, creator, it was like, to me, it was like Kanye was in another world, right?
Yes,
But
still.
Kanye was in that battle, much like, as many of us growing up, where you might be walking down the street and it's like, you got people in your neighborhood you cool with, some of
Mhm.
your friends sell dope, but you got to go to school. And if you try to go do what they're doing, they're gonna say no. You need to go to school, you know. But I think like that's all nostalgic for me. There was a time and space where like for me hip hop was relevant to me,
Mhm.
like in a space that I was in my life.
Mhm.
But then like honestly, I don't know when it happened, but I feel like not I feel like I graduated from it. And I don't know, I don't in particular know when it happened. I don't know if it was I kind of, and this is interesting because we've talked about this person several times. I think the last hip hop album, no, that's not true. Jay Electronica was like, for me, the pinnacle of like hip hop. To me.
Mhm.
Like he's the GOAT to me.
Mhm.
And it didn't take much of a catalog for him to accomplish it because he just displayed it. But in tandem with that is, I remember when I heard Jay Z's American Gangster.
It's low key his best album, but yeah.
That after that, it was like I couldn't find, and even though I'm still a fan of like a Lupe Fiasco, but that was pretty much it for me. Like I
Hmm.
would still listen, but I wasn't so like, man, I gotta listen to so and so when the album coming out. I know the dates, to this, to that. Like not anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you
But
know me, man. I'm still into hip hop, like all day,
yeah,
every day,
yeah,
like forever. Like, cause I guess I view it more as just being able one to stay in tune. Because I think hip hop for one is a great way to see how generations move, like age wise. Don't get me wrong. I think now hip hop has grown to where we have contemporary hip hop.
hmm,
Wu Tang still making music. Jay Z got an album about to come out. Lil Wayne still making. So we still have our J Cole. Drake is just Drake, even though
yeah.
he's supposed to be contemporary, because I think he forgets that he's old. But that's a whole other situation. We have Kendrick still
But
doing
Mel, real
music.
quick, I remember
Yeah,
when Drake came out, you were one of the few people who backed him.
yeah, I still will. He's my favorite. He's my
Yeah,
favorite since '06.
yeah,
I,
yeah. You,
I remember there's nobody knew about him. This is back when Drake couldn't really rap. He used to sing all the time. I
yeah,
know like that. That's bad. He sung more than he rapped. That's how much. That's how long I was a fan of his. I just think it's funny how everybody's kind of like turning their back on him because it's like he's obviously a pop star. He's obviously Canadian, and he's Jewish.
all right.
So it's
He got
like he just being who he is. Just take the music. I think people try to make hip hop now is commercial. Hip hop now is a business. So you just have to really take what you can take. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
yeah,
not gonna lie to you. Like lately, I don't listen to hip hop like that. Lately, I think it's because it's all kind of like the same thing. I've been kind of listening to a lot of country lately. I love
yeah.
I love Sabrina Carpenter. Yeah.
Because you know what happened to me too is like, so growing up as a musician, I grew up playing the drum,
Yes.
and you know, I I as of in recent years, I learned how to play the guitar, right?
Hmm.
And so I miss those days of hearing real instruments on a track.
Yeah.
So like that's why I'll listen to old stuff because I like hearing the drum. I like hearing the
Hmm.
guitar. I like hearing the piano.
But guess
You know
what?
what
I feel like, but in country and like other genres, they're using real instruments.
Exactly. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
why I can see why you can like. for you, definitely you can will drift toward those other genres because I know that the new guy Jelly Roll is a
Okay.
guy I think you would like.
I think I heard about him.
Yeah, I think you would like him a lot.
Is he a
He
heavy
actually
set
made
guy?
me cry before.
Is he a heavy set guy?
Yeah, he's fat,
Yeah, I
respectful.
know. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah, like that. I listen like John Mayer, um, Jim Croce, like old stuff, and then like anything that's new and there's real instrumentation. So like the Beatles, I love like because again, I don't think for me that ever gets old because every time I hear it, I just see me playing the drums, I see me playing the guitar, I see me playing the piano
Mm-hmm.
when I listen to that stuff. But the digitization of the beats, don't get me wrong, a lot of these beats are dope, right? Let's not get it twisted, but it's the content, and I think that's why like another thing that has happened, I think, is because yeah, like to your point, hip hop is a young
Yeah.
person sport. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like the messaging, even the rappers we grew up on, their
Yeah.
messaging doesn't relate. It's like they forgot about us and are like kind of weird now.
Mm-hmm.
All of all of these people are just kind of weird to me now. But like the new stuff, I can see why the young people get into it. Because I mean, again, if they're speaking to what you go through on a daily basis, yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
connect with it. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
the key thing. I think with most people, especially people our age who grew up on more conscious rap,
Yeah.
um, back in our day when we used to listen to it, the old heads used to talk so much shit about it and talk about how damaging it was, or like how much nonsense it was, how it doesn't make sense. I remember like the people in the church talking about like, how evil the music was, even talking about like a Nas or a J. So I just think it's hilarious how there's nothing new under the sun, how it all kind of repeats.
Exactly. Yes.
It's very hilarious because honestly, there's a rapper. I'll bring up a rapper. He passed away. He died. Juice World.
I heard him. Didn't he overdose?
He overdosed back in 2020. No, I'm sorry, 2019 at the age of like 21. Um, this kid has so much talent, amazing rapper. Um, and the reason why I bring him up is because a lot of people said, "Oh, all he raps about is drugs. All he rap about is this and that and the third."
Well,
And again,
well.
that's not positive. Again, like you're saying, well, he passed like everything like that, but it's also for
No,
people
I
that
was saying well. I was saying well in that a lot of people do that now. But yeah, I'm listening.
but no, like I think the biggest point I'm trying to make to those people who try to especially after he passed, they really started like disparaging his name. And I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like, one, he was 21 years old. Don't forget when you were 21, just how
What you
you
were
lived.
doing? Yeah.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
it's like, two, don't just fixate on the drug thing, saying listen to like the expression, listen to the story. Cause that's why I listen to music in general. I listen to all genres of music. Like I don't
Yeah.
because I love hearing stories, especially if it's a story about a real situation or a story about how you're feeling. However, I mean, but to your point again, there's a lot of popcorn TikTok songs out there. There's a lot of trash that's being put out there. I'm not too, whatever not to say it, but overall you can find talent. Like that's why I try to tell my cousins, like, I know it don't seem like it now, but we are living in the best era of music. And
Mm.
I know it doesn't make sense, but the reason why I say it makes sense is because you can get whatever you want, as well as the old music.
Yeah.
I think people forget, like, what I'm saying? Now that we're old, you act as if you can't pop in, what I'm saying, an Outcast album, or you can't pop in a Blueprint album and listen to.
Yeah.
That's what makes this era of music. This is what makes this era the best for music, because you literally can get whatever you want. All the music that's been made is already done. So it's like you don't. This is what I try to tell them too. Is like you don't want these kids to repeat totally what we did, what we did. You
Yeah.
want them to have heart? Do you want them to have a little bit more content or a little bit more creativity to what they do, yes, but we also don't want them to just regurgitate what we've done already heard. Like, we've already been a Michael, there's already been a Prince. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? We already have it. So I am like happy that we're getting new things. This is why I love Jelly Roll. You know what I'm saying? He's bringing country, hip hop. He's bringing a little bit of white soul. And again, I'm bringing Jelly Roll up because he's just a little different. But like, not to get too far off base, the fact that like hip hop now is old enough to where we're able to allow us to grow into different subgenres, and we should be able to accept that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like other races accept their subgenres better than what we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's like in everything we do. We seem to always push back on everything Black people do. Like, they try to make it so singular. And I'm talking about we, I'm talking about us. We, as in Black people, we try to make ourselves so singular sometimes, not understanding that we can be a multitude of things. Black comes in very different shades, and I mean that in a lot of ways. We come in a lot of shades.
Look, I like what you said. The thing that sticks out is when you said there's nothing new under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That goes back to what I was saying earlier when I talked about, it's me. I'm around the older folks, and I hear the things that they're talking about, right? I don't need to interject because I know that they've been rehashing these conversations their whole lives, right? And now I'm in a position, and I'll tie it to the hip hop for what you were just talking about. And now I'm in a position where I know that it doesn't even add any value for me to interject in the conversation of there's nothing new under the sun. Mm-hmm. Then when I bring it to hip hop, and to your point about Juice WRLD, he's rapping about dope, drugs. Dude, people have been rapping about that since rap has been rap, right?
Facts.
And each generation is essentially cataloging its similar experience.
Facts.
Love, girls, money, again, drugs, killing, stunting on somebody, being smarter than somebody, all these different things, right? And that's never going to end. And to your point, it is a business because they're just the voices are different, but the businesses behind these artists are very specific about when a new artist comes out, they got to come out like this. And I'll give you tell me if you agree with it. This is the blueprint. Every new artist got to come out like, I made it. I want this. I got it. I got some of this stuff. I'm it. This is my name. And every time they do that, that person is usually successful because that engine is behind them. But dude, every artist does that. Michael did it. Marvin Gaye did it. James Brown did it. You know what I'm saying? Prince
there's definitely a formula.
There's a formula for sure, but for me, me disengaging from, I really disengaged just from a lot of music in general because I guess the way that I digest the content, and I know a lot of people feel this way, and I know a lot of people feel the way you do about music, because I know you're a music connoisseur, like you love.
Yeah, I just love music. I love stories. Yeah, I just love stories. But what you're about to say, I think I know what you're about to say, and I agree with what you're about to say, but keep going.
But it's like the content of digesting music requires a level of bandwidth, and there's an emotionality to it, et cetera, right? And there's so much content now. Like, a part of what we're doing right now competes with music.
Yeah.
Because you can't do both at the same time. You can't listen to the podcast and listen to Drake.
Nah, you gotta take days on and days
off. Yeah, you gotta pick which one you're gonna engage with, right? And so, yeah, and then there's obviously movies. The movies have taken a hit, you know what I'm saying, content wise. But there's so much content, man, and I just don't have enough time in the day anymore to listen to the stuff that I really used to enjoy listening to. And I remember, man, I sometimes I come in the house, and I don't know how you feel. Like, I come in the house and let's say my wife is listening to something, and I'm like, oh, I remember that song. And I'm like, damn, I like that song when I was at that space in my life, but damn, I hate that song now. And it's a weird feeling, but I know a lot of people love a particular song. Like I'll give an example of a song, and I talk to people about this one all the time. You remember the song "No Scrubs"?
Yeah, TLC.
Yeah, yeah. I hated that fucking song
When it first came out.
when it first came out. I think I liked it for
Okay.
like a week, and then I
Okay.
started to internalize it in
Yeah.
middle school, high school, going into high
Well,
school.
no, but let me tell you all the jump because we're the same age.
Yeah,
When that song came out, girls in middle school were singing to all the boys,
right,
but they didn't
right,
know what they were singing, which I thought was hilarious. But that's
right,
why I think boys didn't really mess with that song. I like the song because
right.
I'm a weird.
The beat was nice.
The beat was hot,
Yeah,
and I didn't take it personally. I didn't care. I was like, I'll be a scrub. I don't care. I
yeah.
say
I
you
took it
still don't
personally.
get with
I
me.
don't know. I don't know why I did, but I did, and I shouldn't
Same
have.
thing with
But
Bills.
yeah, Bill, yeah, that's another one.
I ain't
And
like that song, but now I like, but yeah, I like that song now.
and dude, I'm a little weird in that I didn't like songs like I didn't like you know your body to go all the way. I didn't like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't like when I was younger. I didn't like all that sexualized songs, all the sexualized music I used to hear when I was younger. I
No, I
hated
loved them. I just didn't know
all of
what they're
it.
talking about. I didn't know what they're talking about.
I hated it, Mel. I hated it, man. I didn't. I
Like the
knew
song,
it.
like the song "You're My Little Secret."
I hated that song.
I
You like
love
that?
that song because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you got my like. I'm looking at it like, oh, a secret. Not like, oh, you my. I'm like, oh, you my little like keep my secret. That's how I used to always look at that song. So that's
Or
why.
what about I like the way you?
Oh,
I hated
yo,
that.
love that song. Because I used to be like, I was a nasty little boy, but I like the way you give me head.
I hated that song,
I
man.
love that song.
Any of those, all those sexualized songs, I hate it. And like as an adult, when I hear them, all I hear are young voices singing those songs.
But that
That's
was like
crazy.
now I will say this. From that perspective, you're right. Like say if you listen back to it, it's like, oh, look how young they are.
That's crazy.
So that part, you're absolutely right. Like if I would listen to B2K now, or
Bump,
listen,
bump, bump.
there was a not Sammy. There was another singer that was on Bad Boy. I can't remember his name. Another kid. Like Diddy has a thing about getting a lot of kids. I noticed. Like a lot of kids that be in their teens. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, but to your point, like yeah, like it's weird. You hear these like little kids talking about like this adult stuff, like little Bow Wow talking about
Yeah,
stuff.
dude,
We
how
used to
old?
listen. We used to listen to Soldier Boy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Look at this, Mel. How old was what's that song? That Boy Is Mine with
They were like
Brandy.
they're less than 18, maybe.
Come on, man. Like when I hear this stuff, and I'm talking about adults listening to it, I'm like, come on, what are we doing here?
So the
I
song
don't
came out 98. They were born in like 79. So I'm gonna say they're both 19 and under.
come on, man.
They're both under 20 for sure when that
Come
song
on,
came
come
out.
on. Yeah, man. So that's why I disengage a lot of different music, man. I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Like I need to listen to somebody who was 50 when they made like I can still listen to Marvin Gaye.
Well, yeah, I still listen to Luther and Marvin, which by the way, they were also younger than us when they made their music.
I know, right? Now that you say it, because that it's funny you said that because I was talking to someone about this and they're like, damn, I'm older than Martin Luther King was now.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm I'm the same age as Malcolm X was, or whoever. It's like, yeah, you really do forget sometimes like how young people were when they were,
Being
in
impactful.
their being impactful. So
Their most impactful moments was in their 20s
Yeah,
and made
it's
into
wild.
the early 30s, which is like amazing. Some didn't
It's
even make
wild.
it that far.
Yeah, but yeah, Mel. I mean, with the music, man, I think about that often.
I do
Like,
too. Like the stuff
you
you
know,
bring, I think about it too. Especially I have a son. My son loves music. He like no, he like worships music. That's like his thing. He's going to grow up to be a musician. I think, in my opinion.
yeah,
So for me, it's always just like having this again as a parent, having to shield that content that's not quite ready for yet. You have to shield them. You have to like really encourage them to kind of make positive musical choices and what they say, do, and hear and dance to. Like it's wild because there's just so much content that our kids can get without
yeah,
us even knowing.
yeah,
So,
yeah. There's a lot. That's why, man. Those parental guides, like to
don't
any
mean
parent
nothing.
out there, but but something is better than nothing.
You
But yeah,
gotta
I
do
get what
something.
you're
No, no, no,
saying.
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
Yo, no, 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 no,
I
no.
get what you're saying though.
Something,
Yeah,
something is no, I'm doing something. Don't get me, don't y'all listening. No, do something. I'm just saying, if imagine not doing anything, but even when you do something, it still doesn't matter.
yeah. Because some of these kids are smart, man. They'll figure out ways to get around things.
Yeah, I have to turn off the
Um,
Wi-Fi
yeah,
because my 2 year old
yeah.
son can get on the Wi-Fi now and it's kind of just and stroll with them. 2 years old just know how to stroll. It's annoying.
Man, this is completely random, but um, my aunt, like I said, she's taking care of 2 year old, right? She's almost three actually, and they're like sponges, man. So I'm in the kitchen, and the little girl, my little niece, talking about she's saying pulled pork. Like these are in a limited amount of words she has. One of the words is pulled pork. And I was just, man, I cracked up so much, man. She's saying pulled pork, yellow rice, because this is what she's hearing my aunt say. That's one of my aunt's favorite foods, pulled pork. This girl's 3 years old almost talking about pulled pork, man. But they're sponges. They listen to everything you say and they mimic your physical behaviors as well. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of them they have their own personalities too. That you see right out the gate, right out the gate. So yeah, it's I think about that all the time with the parental stuff, man. Just balancing, how much you want your kid to be exposed to versus like, because you don't want to completely shelter them, but you want to. I got a philosophy where you try to prolong the inevitable as long as you can,
Yeah.
because we're all going to get exposed to the things that we're technically not supposed to eventually, but you just want to prolong it. Can't stop it, but just give it as much time and space as you can. You know what I'm saying? But these kids, man, a lot of them they got so much opportunity ahead of them. So much opportunity. And again, that's why I go. That's why I even started the conversation. I was just talking about families because I think back about when I was younger and how much things have changed over time. With technology and the culture and the ways in which we make money, and it's all shifting
I
again.
think perspectives on parenting too. I think
Yeah,
I know we talk a lot about fathers. I hate it, especially black fathers, but I think black fathers in this generation is like kicking ass, man.
yeah,
I'm talking about as far as like fathers in this generation are so involved with their kids as well as being providers and protectors, but they're also so invested in their kids. I
yeah,
feel like back in the day, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel as though either your dad was like a deadbeat, wasn't around, or if he was a father figure in your life, he was always at work. And when he got
yeah.
home, he didn't really interact with you like that.
Hmm.
Now I feel
Yeah.
like dads are like, taking their daughters to like cheer camp and like work, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole that's that Kobe. I feel like Kobe Bryant influence, that girl dad influence.
Yeah.
Because I feel as though when he passed away, that's when that girl dad mindset even took another level or another step forward after he passed.
Yeah. I mean, presence is important. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's like I see it on people's faces. Like, now that I have kids, and if I'm talking to an adult, or if I see like a video of some adult talking about how, maybe a mother or father wasn't in their life, and they're like, but it was okay. I can see it in their face that it really wasn't okay though.
Yeah.
Like they really still feel a way about it.
And it's okay to say it wasn't okay.
Yeah, right.
And I
You know
know
what
they're
I'm saying?
trying to say it's okay, kind of like trying to psych themselves up or whatever, or psych themselves out. I don't know. But I think once you admit that, you're able to move forward and make correct adjustments and changes for your life that will benefit those close to you. There's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with admitting that there was a lacking.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that. Being honest with yourself is great. Not a lot of people can do that. I know I have trouble with that.
yeah. So, yeah, that part. Um, yeah, I could see it on the faces, man. I could hear it in the voice. But then there are times like, for me, man, I knew people, who didn't have a particular parent in their life, and they actually were fine because they had so much love, you know, in their life. But then, there are times when people hold whatever their parents did for so long against the parent, or and just starts to affect them. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I don't think that's healthy. But everybody's different, man.
Yes.
With that, with
How to
how they
navigate those feelings,
yeah,
man.
how to navigate those feelings, but then how they perceive the events that took place.
Yep.
Because nobody's perfect.
Hmm.
No parent is perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. But
And
you know,
how you perceive a situation is how is going to be based on how you perceive it your whole life.
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? Like, there when I used to teach, there was a thing I used to do. There was a activity I did with the kids where I would select two children. I would get a big cup or a big bowl, whatever I would get, a big bowl, and on one side I would put uh whatever it may be. I may put a color or I may put a number. Either way, it'll be different than the other side. I have them both stay on the other side. And then I would have them like say what they see. And then I would
hmm,
have them take steps to their left or steps to their right. And with each step, they will see another perspective of the bowl. They will see it until they've walked to the other person's perspective to see what they see.
hmm,
And the whole point of that activity was to show the children that like you shouldn't judge a
good
situation
point.
until you see every side of the issue or the problem, or
Good
you
point.
see every side of the person's perspective. And then by the time you see the whole perspective, you're able to make a educated guess. And I didn't. And also, what I always found with the activity, once the kid, because again, the kids would scream like, "What's your side say?" They'll always scream, "Oh, it's green. Oh, it's red," and they would say it so defiantly,
Hmm.
so definitely. But with each step they take, their responses or their whatever will be less definitive
Yeah.
until it gets to a point of, well, we're both right, or I see your point of view.
Your point of view. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just wish adults and human beings in general can just get to that point where it's like, oh, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that goes for the victims as well. So I think sometimes people who have been victimized so much in life, they kind of stay in that place until you get to the point of like where you can see the perpetrators, you see their perspective, you get to the point of like able to really gauge, you get a full scope of how everything works. Not
Yeah.
saying like you shouldn't feel so victimized, but I feel as though victims kind of stay in that perspective without, like, once you understand the whole scope of things, like we look at predators in the wild. There's certain things that the predators or not the predator or the prey do that combat the predators. If that makes
Mhm.
any sense. And again, I feel like they're able to combat the predators because they have a whole perspective and scope on what's going on in life, and they're
Yeah.
able to get the upper hand that way. That's why I brought it up for this case. But
No,
that's something to think
I
about.
love what you. Yeah, I love everything you said because I agree with that 100%. It's the judgment part is what people get hung up at.
Yeah.
And I was that person that'd be like, hey, it's funny. I tell people, man, look, I judge. I'm like, why do you do that? Oh well, because I have to. And then, down the road, I got to a point where I'm like, I don't see why I need to judge. I don't judge anymore.
Mhm.
Then they're like, no, you got to judge. I'm like, but when I was judging, you were telling me that wasn't good, right?
Yep.
But but I see the value in not judging because it opens up all possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not trying to force anybody to do things your way or see things your way. And it's just a better way
It's a better way to live.
to operate. Yeah, I mean it really is. Um,
When you,
I'm glad I'm here now. I'll say that.
yeah.
I'll say that. I'm glad I'm here now.
To piggyback off that real fast, like once you learn not to judge and you're able just to take in all information,
Yeah,
because I feel like people get to the point of just trying to prove themselves.
right.
Like, like the greatest quote I love is like the true measurement of my intelligence is the acknowledgement of my idiocy. Or
Mm,
idiocracy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Basically, the acknowledgement of me not having the knowledge of everything is the true measurement of my intelligence. The fact that I can go in any situation and come in like, oh, I'm an idiot, even though I may have information, man, even though I may have knowledge on the subject. Coming in as an idiot allows you to really be open to changes, open to adjustments. And when
mm-hmm,
you're open to adjustments, you're open to really grow, and with growth brings like real evolution and enhancement, and it makes everybody better, not just yourself but the whole environment better. And I just think,
mm,
people are so prideful. Like, one of the things I love about even our friendship is the fact we're both just not prideful. Like, if you're right, like if you're right, that I'm like, oh, you're right, let me adopt
exactly.
that for my knowledge.
Yeah,
Let me adopt that to my point of view or perspective, and vice versa. And I just feel as though human beings, if we got to that point, we'd be unstoppable. But also, we got to that point, certain people wouldn't be as important or powerful anymore.
yeah,
And that's a
yeah,
problem for them,
yeah,
which is a
exactly.
whole other topic, which I don't even want to touch right
No, no, I get what you're saying. And again, I'm gonna go right back to the beginning of the show. That's why I said when I was around the older folks, a part of what you said is exactly why I didn't say anything because the ego is gonna make you jump. Oh, you said what? Oh, I know something. Oh, let me interject here. Let me say, and it's all you're doing. You're judging what other people are saying.
now. Mm-hmm.
So you're jumping into the conversation to share your perspective. But then again, it's like, is it going to add any value? Are you really saying anything novel that no one thought about? No. So just chill. And like that ability to not judge, it can be difficult to get there if you're lying about particular things.
Mhm.
Because first you got to be honest with yourself, which is really difficult.
Yes.
And then once you're honest with yourself, and then you start to have more clarity about how things operate. And then on top of that, you realize you can't force anybody else to see things from your perspective. You kind of conclude that it's in your best interest to just listen and not judge so you can hear people out, have better relationships, better understanding, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, it's challenging. And I think there is a space in life where you have to learn to use your judgment so you can avoid pitfalls, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, like you said earlier, because there's nothing new under the sun, you get enough of that eventually where you're like, okay, I know, don't do this. I'm gonna stay away from that. Blah, blah, blah. This. And then you need to step back and say, you know what? I don't need to validate anybody. I don't need any validation. And it's not from a selfish, I don't give a fuck about what anybody say, or I know a type attitude. It's, I guess, the word I'm thinking about is trying to navigate around other people in a helpful way.
Yes.
Not trying to take anything from anyone, not acting like you can give somebody something to change them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think, man, I've since I started that process for myself, it's been way better for me. And because of it, Mel, I'll be honest with you, I can't do no fake stuff. Like if something is fake, I can't be in the same space with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know it's judging me.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to be open with you, but you're not. You know what I'm saying? So I've had to learn that as
And
I've
that's a
gone
waste of
along.
time too. I guess
Yeah.
time is something that you can't really waste at our age.
Yes.
It's more
Yeah.
asset to us. But
Yeah. No. 100% it is. You
it's
can't get
facts.
it back. You can't get it back, man. Um. So I think that's valuable, man.
But it's funny because I like to be around liars
I get it.
because they intrigue me. Because I really want to understand what you're trying to shape, what narrative you're trying to shape for yourself. Like, what is the purpose? Like, I feel as though, like, again, I'm not. I don't think I'm weird. I really am a scientist from the perspective. Like, I really want to understand one, what you're saying, what is the purpose of what you're saying, and what is the message you're trying to illustrate verbally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're lying. Anyway, when you're telling the truth, there's a reason. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
There's
saying?
value in it.
Yes, there's value, the reason why you're telling the truth. But when you're trying to tell, like the truth is something that's going to be valuable to all parties involved. If I'm telling you the truth, it's something that's going to edify your life. It's giving you knowledge. It's giving data to you that's going to edify your life. But if I'm lying to you, it's literally only meant for me. So it's selfish. But at the same time, I want to understand your selfishness. Because if I understand your selfishness, I can understand who you are. If I understand who you are, I'm able to meet you where you are. So what I'm trying to say is basically, if I hear you what you're trying to lie about, I can understand who you are.
Yeah. I heard in a song a guy say it's he said, lying has never helped anybody. And he's like, but why am I doing it now?
Mm.
All right. So I get what you're saying. Um,
He's right, by the way.
Yeah,
Like, let
I
me
get
just
it.
also say, like, your perspective, like, if someone's not giving you the correct, like, someone's lying, they're not being their authentic selves, I am not wasting my time. That is probably the most intelligent way to handle someone like that, is just not to interact with them, because it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah,
Let's
not
just
speak
get,
it out.
yeah, let's just get that out the way now. I'm talking about myself. And I am
Yeah,
a little bit strange. I really do want to, like, hear what you're trying to lie about, or what your story you're trying to illustrate, so I can then understand what kind of person you are. Like, I'm
yeah.
different from the. I can probably tell more about a person about how they lie than when they tell the truth. I know that sounds weird, but that's just how I am. This is how my mind works.
Yeah. No, I understand. Um, yeah, people are first of all, everybody, unique in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just I just want to give
yeah,
a
man,
quick
I just
example. I just want to give one quick example. Like, I'll give an example, because I want to make sure everybody understands what I'm trying to say. I have a friend. He likes to say that he gets lots of girls. He goes on lots of dates. I know for a, like, and you know that what he's saying isn't true, because he'll say, like, weird things like, "Oh, I took her out at 7 and brought her back at 8." If you ever been on a real date, dates don't work that way. It's a little bit longer. It's a lot more conversations, not like a hour thing. So when you hear people talk certain, like, there's certain giveaway where people are lying. But when you hear people lie that way with this particular person, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to relate to me, and by them trying to relate to me and trying to really say that I'm like you. So
mhm.
when I heard him telling me stuff like, I'm just like you, I'm like, you don't have to be like me. You can be
It's the
yourself.
mirroring. They're
True. Yeah.
mirroring.
Trying to
Yeah, they're
mirror.
mirroring. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Trey. That's the point I was trying to make. So for me, it's like when people try to mirror, or when people try to do other kind of techniques of you know. But
See,
anyway,
mirroring to me, even when I was a kid, that was the one thing that would cause me to get physical. So I had a cousin, and this is a form of it. We're playing a game. I was like, man, go around that corner. Man, go around that corner. Man, what you doing? Man, what you doing? Mocking me, right? I just hit him because I've never been able to take that. I don't like that, right? Um, but I've noticed that, yeah, it doesn't stop in childhood. People do mirroring all the time. And my thing about not engaging with it, just for me, is I want to focus on my family.
yeah,
So if I spend time on, like, if we're let's like we're talking about music, I can't do both at the same time. I can't spend time dealing with this mirroring individual and enjoy some time with my kids, my wife, my family, my friends. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't be in two places at one time. I can't be on the phone with them and you know what I'm saying? So it's like, with that limited amount of time,
gotta funnel out the bullshit.
I just gotta funnel it out.
Yeah.
But to your point though, if I find myself cornered by this person and I'm engaging with them, I'm not gonna judge them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hear them out. I'm gonna hear them out. You know what I'm saying? Because they may come up out of that one
Mm-hmm.
day, and that's often the hope. And I hate that word. That's the possibility. That's a possibility of what can happen, right? But and you saying that, Mel, this is one of the things that I want to touch on, and maybe we'll have a deeper conversation about it down the road, which is, I've struggled with this question in my head for so long, which is the concept of change. Like, can people change? Why do people change? Oh, okay, only a few people can change. No, anybody can change. Like, this continuous thing. Like, what is it? Is it do you change the person's mind? Do you give them something? Like, what do you do? And why are some people able to change? And it seems like some people are stuck. Like, I literally know people who have been stuck doing the same thing for 50, 60 years, 70 years, never came up out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I've digested this for so long as to, why I believe it happens, and what I think is a precursor to what provides change. But for me, man, you've known me since the early 2000s, right? What, mid,
20 years.
early mid, yeah. So it's like the people we've known since then that we both know. I mean, how much of them have changed?
It's kind of
Like
cool.
to like to
A
your
lot
point,
haven't.
a lot have, but to your point about that person who you said, lies about the dating situation, right?
Yeah.
Have they always done that?
Yeah.
Do you expect a change at some point?
No. I expect growth and enhancement. See, I don't really believe in change. I believe in growth. So if someone's a liar, I expect them to grow into better liars.
Yeah. So I would, yeah, change for me would be they would stop that because it's not beneficial for them. Well, like you said, no, it's beneficial for them, but it's not helpful to what they're doing is not helpful to everybody, right?
Yes, yes,
So
but like
for
I said, I feel as though if you're a liar, you're always gonna be a liar unless you go to therapy. You get right techniques and right therapeutic mindset. But overall, if you're a liar, you're a liar.
see, and I've known people that have done exactly what you just said. They go to therapy, they get the help,
Yep, and they work.
and they work. But then they may work for a while, but then these people they go right back to what they used to do.
Because they're liars. And again,
Oh,
and a lot of people are liars, man.
well, we all lie.
We all lie. Like, and I think
Yeah.
and I think most liars, the person they lie to most is themselves. And I think I wish people on it, like people that are around liars. I hope that they understand that while yes, it's wrong to lie, and they're wrong for lying to you. Just know, as much as they lie to you, they lie to themselves even more.
And
So,
that's the part.
so,
Yeah.
so for me is I never take it personal. I try to meet that person where they are. I try. Now, again, I'm different. I feel as though what you said is what people should do. If somebody's a liar in your life, do your best to avoid them because you don't need that extra data in your brain or you just don't need it. Me, on the other hand, I'm actually quite interested in why you're lying. I think it's really cool that
Yeah.
you try to shape a narrative of like I feel like liars really try to shape who they are. And really good liars do a really good job at that. I think one of the best movies, Catch Me If You Can,
Yeah.
with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well,
Amazing.
let me ask you this, then, Mel. Since
But
you're saying this, right? Because I
yeah,
think we've known we obviously know some of the same people, right?
yeah.
But it's like, why don't you call it out, or do you call it out? I don't
That's
want to
not
make an
that
assumption.
that's not
Do
my
you?
place in life
Okay.
because
So
I believe that, and I've called people out.
yeah,
I've done it. I mean, you can't just lie all the time and not be called out. That's just because at some point you're making make me feel like you think I'm dumb.
yeah.
And if I start feeling that way, then that's when I come at you. But if you're doing a great job, like really like lying, then I'm gonna respect the effort you're putting in. I'm just gonna go along with it.
Well, the worst liars use words.
Huh? What?
The worst liars use words.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great quote.
Well, what you talking for?
Yeah. The
You
best
know?
liars use photos. The best liars use moments. There's a guy that we both know. I'm not going to say who he is, and I'm not even going to say what he does. But let's just say for a longest time, he would have a occupation as a consultant in
Okay.
certain sports.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I know.
because
Yeah.
he did it for so long, and he never said a word. He never said what he did. He never did anything. But because he was around for the longest time, putting pictures out there using social media, putting videos out, he was able to get certain kind of clothing
Yeah.
that was not given to him, but he was able to obtain it, and he wears that clothing. He doesn't say
Yeah.
anything. He just wears the
No.
clothing and makes
Yeah.
cool quotes.
That's a better
Those are
liar.
the best ones, to
Yeah.
your point. The
Yeah.
ones that are talking are the worst liar, but the ones that do it that way, the ones that can lie but make you come up with the narrative are the best liars. No
Yeah. They
so
paint. They
impressive.
paint the. They leave just enough for you to assume the rest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the best thing about them is like when the truth does come out, they can literally say, I didn't say that. They can literally
Yeah. Yeah.
that was your assumption. So there'd never be no
Yeah. I never said that.
liars.
Yeah. Why did you get that impression? But,
Exactly. That sounds like a you problem. Like those. So that's why I said that quote you just made, and I've
yeah.
always thought of that. But for you to vocalize it like that, the greatest quote ever. Yes, the best liars don't use words. That's
No.
a fact.
No. And I've tried to teach my daughter this, which is, people will say things like, what's that phrase people always use? They say, oh yeah, they'll say, if don't pay attention to what people say, pay attention to what they do.
Yeah,
And I tell my daughter, I say, you can be fooled by both.
hands down.
You just got to know what you're doing. You can be fooled by both.
Yeah,
Because, like, to that point you brought up about the individual, I know you're talking about.
yeah.
You can't go by what they're doing. Because to your point, to the point we're making, they're not saying anything. They're not using words for the lie, but the actions are a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And they fooled a lot of people with those actions.
How about they fool? How about they do it for so long that they actually
Believe it.
not just believe it, but they actually start achieving it.
Yeah, that part. It's
So
called fake
that's
it.
another
It's called
reason why
fake
I
it till you
don't.
make it.
Yeah, I'll take it this far. I think it's a fine line between faking until you make it or just living in your purpose.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's a real fine line. I look at some even musicians or people who became big time artists who, before they became big time artists, were carrying themselves like they were big time artists, like they would move in certain ways and think certain ways. Like I look at Tory Lanez is a great example. Before he became famous, he was like this little small little pipsqueak who would make great music and would like call Drake out. He would talk and rap in a certain bravado that at the time just didn't make sense, but he knew who he was and where he was in life. And he just wasn't quite there yet. So that's why I said there's a fine line between like people who are delusional and liars and people who are just trying to walk in their purpose. Like the person
Well, what
who I just brought up, could they have just been walking in their purpose?
well, what you're saying is valid, right? But what I'm thinking about is it's why I would never equate how much money you have to your intellect, because because at the end of the day, you can get lucky being delusional, right? Just be at the right place, the right time, boom, done. You're off to the races, right? But I know, just like we can point out those people who faked it until they made it. I know people who've been faking it and now they're in 60 plus years old. They since I was a youngin, they were faking it, and they still faking it, and they hadn't gotten off the treadmill, man. But some people who do that exact, to your point, some people do that exact same thing do make it. But for me, it wouldn't give any credence to their behavior. They just made it. That'd be my conclusion about it, right? Oh, they just, man, that, because that person I know you're talking about, that doesn't work if you live in Salt Lake City, maybe. Maybe. If you live in Alaska, maybe. But you gotta be in the right place at the right time with a lot of things. And the achievement of certain things don't equate to genius, or I like that word you use with like living in your purpose.
Yeah.
They could believe that, but it could have been, they could have flipped the coin and it could have been another way for them.
Well, that's the worst
And it's
part
no,
about
it's
this era we live in, though, man.
you know,
You would think that it's actually more difficult to live your life now, but actually it's much easier to live. I don't want to say your life, live your ideas. It's much
yeah,
easier to live your ideas now because of AI. You know what I'm saying? Because like if I want to be let's say I want to be a neuroscientist, right?
yeah,
And I'm dealing with a situation, you can literally just put that in the chat of how to deal
yes,
with a situation, and then you can literally read that, memorize it, then go into another situation and basically, I don't want to say lie your way through it, but basically kind of pose your way through it.
yeah.
It's much easier to be a poser now.
Posers.
You know, it's much easier to be a master of none now. So
Yeah. It yeah. Like that you ever read Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers?
no,
It's a good book for anybody that wants to read that. It actually, he gives his perspective on some of these things we're talking about with in particular, like how time and chance and what looks that way is not always that way. It's like sometimes just a unique set of outcomes that produce a group of people. And like to your point, I mean, with today, I mean, the technology we have, yeah, there are going to be people, man, who are going to like flip so much on its head about the things they're going to be able to accomplish with the technology.
yeah, because like I'm reading over what you're telling me, like the Gladwell was talking about that it takes 10 hours of practice to master a skill.
Yeah, 10,000.
But I
Yeah,
feel like with technology now, you can pretty much cut that in half.
yeah, it's different.
It's just different now. Just even the way how you obtain the knowledge, and then also how you apply the knowledge is so different now.
Well, he gave in that book, he gives an example of, and I'll just use us as an example. So, like, depending on your birthday, your kid is going to be able to go to kindergarten, right? And so you got kids who are playing a particular sport. In that book, he talked about hockey,
Yeah.
but it can be basketball, football, whatever. You have kids that are slightly older than their cohort, their peers, playing the same sport. So they might be bigger, faster, smarter. And you're like, well, why is my kid not performing well? Well, it just might be based off their birthday.
I'm so happy you said that. I'm gonna bring up another perspective, but keep talking.
So we give and there's another book by Nassim Taleb called Fooled by Randomness. Like sometimes we give a lot of credit to people and to things that really have no correlation. right? And that's why I said earlier, like, how whatever money you got does not equal your intelligence. But people start feeling like they're intelligent when they make more money.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, there are people with PhDs who are not millionaires, bro.
Yep.
Billionaires. You know what I'm saying? They're college dropouts are billionaires.
It's apples and oranges. You cannot
You know
equate
what I'm saying?
intelligence
No,
with money success.
right. Or the idea of faking it till you make it, because dude, that works for less people than most things.
Yeah.
But there is a confidence factor that is important a lot
Well,
of
those
times.
people have social intelligence that can't be equated.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
people,
yeah,
like they have like those type of people that say, "Oh, fake it till you make it." No, you're there. Yes, they say do that, but only certain people can do that. Only certain people have that charisma. Only certain people have that social intelligence to be able to bounce in and out of social constructs like with ease. So not everybody can do that. I think I
yeah,
can do that. I think I can fake it till I make it.
yeah. You're socially adept.
Yeah, I'm socially inept. Yeah, I can definitely fake it till I make it.
Um,
It's hard.
but what were you gonna say? I know you. I when I was
Oh
talking.
yeah, no. What I was gonna say was, back to your point about opportunity. I think people misconstruct intelligence and success with just opportunity.
Yeah,
So I thought you made a great point talking about like people who, and this happens in basketball a lot. People who just they'll hold their kid back and let them play with kids that are a year younger or a few months younger. And it's crazy how like what six because think about it now, because now we're 40 now. We don't even look at people that are like 45 or 35 as any different than us. They're like the same age as us. If you're over 30, you're like the same age as me.
yeah,
That is how I think about it. But when we were like 15, if there was a person that was like 13 or 14, like, oh my God, they're so much younger than you. Oh my God, I
yeah.
can't around them. You know what I'm saying? So I
See,
just,
but to
yes,
your point though, you close when you get to like you're saying 40, 45. Yeah, there is you kind of close a particular type of you close a physical. Well, let me think about how to say that. I'll come back to that. When you're younger, that 6 to 9 month gap ahead, the kid
yeah,
ahead has on that other kid is profound because that'll mean a difference in just their muscle makeup,
yeah,
their aptitude about how to understand the game. This is why when my daughter, is playing sports and they're like, oh man, that kid is talented. And then I feel like find out that that group she's playing in, she's 2 years younger than that kid. She's a year. So why would I judge my child who's 8 against a 10-year-old? Well, people do that all the time.
yep,
But that 10-year-old is more likely. This is what, if I remember correctly, this is what Malcolm Gladwell was talking. I can't remember which one it is. If it's the younger kid or the older one, whichever one has the advantage, and that's the one that becomes the Wayne Gretzky. That's the one that becomes the LeBron
mm-hmm.
because they have that advantage in just that
Yes.
little window of opportunity as it pertains to age. But um,
Which is why in basketball, you really when they do AAU and stuff, you always put your kid up ages to do AAU and train. But when it comes to
yeah,
basketball, they always play with kids that are younger than them.
yeah, you
So
look better.
you just
You
look
look
better.
better.
Same thing what
Like
Gilbert Arenas doing with his son right
yeah, like I was crushing
now.
when I was I was a teenager. I was playing all the younger kids in my neighborhood. I was crushing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's why like it's such a rarity when a person like a LeBron James came in as young as he was, dominating men, because they know it's not supposed to go that way, right?
Exactly.
Because again, it's the ages make the difference, and that age, because like if you're 10 and I'm 8 and I'm playing the same sport, that means you got years of more practice than I've got. And parents are like, man, that kid is so good. Yeah. If your kid puts in that same amount of training, does it mean they'll be that kid? No. But if they are talented, maybe they'll be that kid or better by that time. You know?
And
But
again,
that's just a perspective.
and I don't even want to bring it always back to basketball, but that's just what I love. You understand basketball, and I love Gilbert Arenas. Not love him, but I find him very fascinating. And
Yeah.
one of the points he always likes to bring up when he talks about like the GOAT conversation or like who the greatest of all time is, he says who was the best at ages. People all like, and I thought that was so fascinating how he looks at it. Like he says, yo, he was like, was Michael Jordan better than LeBron at 18? And it's a simple
No.
like no, it's easy now. And basically that's what he did like through every age. Because he says honestly, people try to just because we're in the same arena doesn't mean we're on the same level.
No. Exactly.
And I think that goes back to the overall point we were making, even with the guy with Gladwell, even what you're saying right now. There are advantages with age, especially at the younger you are, age is more of a factor because it's like, time is a real asset. The older you
Yeah.
get, obviously, everything kind of evens itself out as far as like
Right.
experience, things of that nature.
Yeah.
When you're young, like you said, everything means something.
Matters. It's
Everything matters.
way bigger. It's a bigger gap than people even
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. So 6 months, like I'll use myself as an example. I was 17 when I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
If I would have changed things, I would tell my mom to hold me back and let me graduate a year after because I was just behind a lot of different things as far as
Mm-hmm.
mental maturity. I was just less mature than my peers. I was just, and again, I'm only younger than them by maybe like 6 to 8 months,
Right.
some 12 months. But there's other guys there who were a year older than me. I look at LeBron. LeBron graduated when I graduated in 03, but guess what? He's born 84. You know what I'm saying? I'm born 85. So
Look, I gotta
yeah,
be, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Mel. Like,
yeah,
I gotta be a special person for us to do anything. And you had a 9 month head start, and I still beat you.
yeah,
I gotta be super special.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got 9 months on me,
yep,
so we're about to have a fight, and you've been training for 9 months, and the fight is next week.
huge
You,
advantage.
that's a huge advantage, man, and
That's
that's how it goes.
actually a huge advantage is an understatement. It's actually not
Right,
there.
right. But that's how it goes in sports,
And that's how it goes in life.
in life.
And I think that's important for parents to have in mind
Yeah,
when you want to place your kid. Because guess what? That was so funny. When we were younger, it was praised to go up a level when you're younger.
yes,
I remember I was 13 years old, a freshman on varsity football,
yeah,
and I was praised for it. Mind you, but when I was on JV, I'm talking about I'm getting like 20 tackles, 25 tackles a game.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? I'm just so far better, so much better than everybody else. But as soon as I got the varsity my freshman year, I was like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from being like the big man to nothing. Now, again, people praise the fact that you're 13 years old on playing varsity football, not understanding that you're not with your age group, not understanding
Right.
that you are at a disadvantage,
Yeah,
not understanding that if I was just doing this as recreation, if I was doing this as training, if I was doing that as, something else, that's great, but not as the main test. Like if I was doing that as like a pre-test, cool, but
yeah,
me doing that as like, yeah, that's harder. So
yeah,
it's funny how they praise that when we're younger, but now it's reversed. Now it's like, now you got guys in football, like in college football has been there for like 10 years. I know
mm-hmm.
you've seen like the quarterbacks that are like 30 years old who are like 8, 9 years in. Like there was like a meme going around. There's a quarterback, I forgot his name, who's been playing since
Red shirting.
yeah, since Lawrence. I forgot that dude's name, Lawrence, the guy that played for the Jaguars. He's been playing since they were in the same like high school graduating class or same draft class or same, class. and Lawrence is like in his 4th or 5th year in the NFL, and this kid's about to start his like 8th year starting or 8th year in college. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
It was just crazy because he's a grown man going against kids, so he obviously has like a huge advantage, especially like as men. Our physical prowess and physical prime is between like what 27 and 32, something like that, 26 and 32. So you got this
I
guy,
don't know.
this physical prime going against children. It's just like doesn't seem fair, but it
I
is
don't know.
what it is.
I don't know how true this is, but I heard this thing about OJ where he was actually in junior college before he went to a 4-year college.
Mm,
So that would have helped him, right? So he, to your point, he would have gotten those extra reps in JUCO
mm,
and then gone to a 4-year.
mm.
And when he went to the 4-year, they said he broke all the records, right? Because he might have been slightly older than that class of people coming in who were like the next up and coming, phenom.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you get that, like to any parent listening, that's what you got to focus is like the ages with the
Yeah.
kids, the kids are playing. Because like, and Mel, like when you were, I could imagine, so because I went through this. So you're a freshman in high school and you want to play varsity. You get on the team. And you're like, dang, I'm not killing it. That can mess with you mentally.
Yep.
So now the inferiority comes in. Now, but the older folks are like, oh, you talented, bro, but you don't see any of that. You just see,
Nope.
you just hear what coach is saying, putting you on the bench, blah, blah, blah. But the whole time, yes, if you would have stayed JV and just gone through the proper process, it would have been, beneficial. But, that they need those bodies in varsity. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
Very interesting.
yeah, it's a good book. I say he's written some interesting books, and I think he just came back and said, I think with the Outliers, he wrote a book talking about some of the things that I got wrong with that book or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But research is always something that people are doing, and they come out with these really important messages about how you can navigate different things.
Also, side note, that's why the NBA now just wants all younger players because in their mind, they're like, we rather you develop under
Mm-hmm.
us than y'all pick up any kind of habits that are unuseful from other avenues like college and elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and again, back to bringing up Gilbert Arenas again, but he brings up all the time like he's looking at like there's a player that I picked up from France. He's 19, looks like trash.
Mm-hmm.
But what Gilbert is projecting or saying is like, oh, there's not getting Zach Edey. He's like 22. And right now, Zach Edey looks better than the 19-year-old. But what Gil was saying, like, if that 19-year-old, when he turns 22, is like 3 times better than Zach Edey at 22, then that's a
Oh, it's
success.
worth it. Yeah, it's worth it.
So that's like the intellectual, that's like the mindset he's going in with that, which is what I agree with. I think when it's time to train, you want to train up
Yeah.
and then you want to play down or compete
Yes.
down rather.
Yeah. And dominate. That's how you
Yeah,
dominate.
that's the dream. That's what you want to do. And I think LeBron did that. Ironically, Kobe never did that. I feel like Kobe always went for the challenge,
Yeah.
which almost on the low made him really good, I guess. But I don't know.
Kobe was a beast, man.
Yeah, Kobe was amazing. Yeah.
I saw I think it was on X where there was a photo. It was no, not a photo, but a statue that they made of him and his daughter.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I saw it too.
Yeah, tragic, man.
It's tragic for so many reasons, but I was gonna say for a basketball fan, it was so tragic because their relationship was gonna save the WNBA. I mean, WNBA is in good hands now with Caitlyn, Juju's coming, blah, blah, blah. But what Kobe and his daughter were gonna bring to WNBA was gonna be so monumental. Like they would have saved the WNBA. And I know a lot of people don't really see it that way, but people don't. But Kobe Bryant with his daughter, who was going to be in the WNBA easy because she was that good. Like
I
that,
had a,
yeah, huh?
I had a reaction to that because I heard Cam Newton was like, the MLB is gonna, or the WNBA is gonna surpass the MLB in 10, 15, 20 years, something like that, by 2030 maybe. Something he said, and
I
people
can
were
see
like,
that.
but see, but Mel, people. So I live near a baseball stadium, right?
Mhm.
And dude, people still love baseball. Like, and maybe WNBA surpassing it. I don't know about that, man. Like, I feel like I've been hearing, and I don't watch it.
I
I
mean,
feel like
baseball in October is crazy.
I've been hearing a noise that it's actually growing.
What,
You know,
baseball?
yeah, because they started letting like Japanese players, Chinese
Yeah.
players, like
So you say it's growing globally,
yeah,
kind of like basketball.
yeah.
Okay, I can see. I
No,
can
in America,
see that.
even in America, because it's like it's definitely people
That's
love
funny you said
baseball,
America because
man.
I actually heard the opposite. I heard like they're trying to get more people into baseball. That's like a thing.
Dude, look at the baseball con. If you Google right now how much these baseball players are making, you really think baseball, the like that money these baseball players are making make NBA money look like penny money.
Oh no, no, no! I agree. I'm talking about getting players getting like Americans to want to play.
When them
It's an
kids,
issue.
when these little kids see how much they just paid that dude, they're like, "Yeah, I want to do that." The parents are like, "You doing that? You playing baseball?" I forgot that crazy
Or
contract I heard. I think it was
pickleball.
like pickleball. Yeah, that's another one. They say we could, me and you around that age range, we'd be prime pickleball players man, if we wanted to play
Yeah, we're prime pick. Yeah, our age is prime
it.
pickleball.
We prime pickleball players. Man. But yeah, sports. I just brought it up because I heard Cam said something like that, and they were tripping on
Cam
him.
Cam is Cam is awesome.
Yeah, they're like
Cam,
Cam doesn't know what we're talking about. Cam was, people. You have a sports opinion. People start talking about you personally. Look
yeah, it's
at him. Look at
wild.
how he dresses. He he's a polygamist. He
Got nothing to do with
that's got nothing to do with his sports take.
nothing. They hate Cam, boy. They hate the love him. Like they love to hate. Like it's crazy.
Cam,
Bless Cam, yo. But I'm happy for her. God bless Cam, yo.
but yeah, Mel. Is anything else you want to share before we go?
Oh nah, man. This is a great convo. Let's talk about. I'm definitely gonna read the Malcolm Gladwell book of the Outliers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Um, but I love reading book summaries because that's just who I am. Because you just don't have time to read the whole book sometimes, so you just kind of read a book summary.
Yeah, they're audiobooks nowadays. I love audiobooks.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Definitely with the audiobooks.
You do audio version. Um, but yeah, listen, everyone. Um, thank you again for listening to us. Uh, we got some, like I said earlier, we got some people who just joined the quietest ones in the room family. Some new subscribers. Really appreciate that. Uh, if you're listening and you like this content, please like, subscribe, and comment. That's just something that like we talk about, Mel. Something that keep us going. Just because I want to engage with people who listen, and I think that'd be awesome. So again, thank you all for checking us out, and until next time.